This is Chilko Lake in mid-April. A raw, cold, windy, beautiful place. The lake's 1,200-meter elevation ensures the winter snow is still melting from the valley floor. The south end of the lake is surrounded by some of the higher peaks of the range, some rising to 2,000 to 3,000 meters above sea level. Storm winds rushing to the interior of the province are funneled through Chilko Lake's valley. This is the story of a spring ski trip that visited the glaciated mountains at the south end of the lake. Situated on the east slope of British Columbia's Coast Mountains, the Chilko Lake area has a dry inland character. Chilko Lake is 70 kilometers long and averages 5 kilometers wide. Tom, Wolfe, and I emailed ideas throughout the winter about this trip. Now we were in Nemaia Valley, ready for 3 weeks of mountain tripping. We had devised a plan that called for paddling kayaks down the east shore of Chilko Lake. On the way, an inflatable boat and extra food would be cached at Rainbow Creek, and then our plan was to cross to the lake's west side to access Farrow Creek. Once on the ice, we travel around the south end of the lake, visiting the Goddard and Norrington glaciers, the Lillooet ice field, and the Chekazan glacier. We estimated the ski tour would last about 2 weeks. I would retrieve the kayaks from the west side of the lake, and then both of us would paddle back to the car at Nemaia Valley. After waiting a day for strong southerly winds to abate, we launched. Tom is from Calgary, Alberta. He's a tremendously strong climber, a guide, as well as a school teacher. As for myself, I'm from Whistler, British Columbia, where I work as a guide and ski patroller. Twice we pulled out on beaches to let squalls pass. The second landing happened just after being inspected by a medium-sized grizzly bear. We were paddling just out of the surf line, about 15 meters from shore, when the bear ran directly at us and abruptly stopped at the water's edge. Luckily, it evidently decided that we were not worth getting soaked for. All we could do was paddle 100 meters further before substantially stronger wind gusts forced us on land. Tom had never paddled a kayak before. Knowing that he'd done many of the hardest ice climbs in the Rockies put some of my worries to rest. The cold, the stress, and the misery of winter boating is gentle compared to the environment he likes to hang out in. A little before sunset, the winds died and we started paddling again. When leaving the beach, I was too cold to quickly coordinate placing my spray deck onto the boat's iced-up cockpit rim. This let a few waves worth of icy water onto me. At camp, it took many hours of shivering in my sleeping bag to regain normal body temperature. Calm of the morning promised a quiet day. Almost the full length of Chilko Lake was lit up by the bright early morning sun.
Way frozen stuff.
All clothing worn yesterday was frozen solid. Both of us were now a little apprehensive about the lake and the 4-kilometer open water crossing we'd have to do today. Our stop at Rainbow Creek was short, just long enough to drop off our inflatable boat and a little food.
So this is how we make our food and our boat that we're going to paddle across the lake bear safe. We're going to hang it from this wire, and that's going to go around that branch up there.
Paddling across the lake couldn't have been more pleasant. The scenery provided by 2,700-meter peaks reflecting in the flat water was unsurpassable. We were both totally excited about the mountain playground we were about to enter. After a leisurely gear sort, the boats were placed into the forest and we walked about 1 kilometer to Muir Lake and the Kellerhall's family cabin.
Oh.
Alright, here's to the Yoko.
A yokohalp is a debris flow that is released when a glacial dammed lake bursts through its ice barrier. At the cabin, we found a graduate student's report on the yokohalp that had swept through the valley. Our expectations were for the worst travel conditions possible, but the valley left us pleasantly surprised. As we walked up the creek, we felt as if we were progressively disappearing into the wilds.
Alright, out of the woods.
With our skis off our packs, we now flew up the Goddard Glacier. Late in the afternoon, we left our packs and skis at a high call at the top of the Goddard Glacier. Tom and I climbed snow slopes up the west side of Wednesday Mountain. We are now definitely moving into the mountain icescape of the Coast Mountains.
Hey, well, the one wall's fallen down on the windward side, but the mid is holding strong. Woo!
You know, previous to this experience, I hated getting any kind of snow inside of a tent. Now I think about things a lot differently.
We brought a Megamid on this trip in an attempt to reduce our pack weight. This tent has no floor, just one pole which supports a single-walled tent surface.
It's going to be a good travel day. Nowhere near as hot as yesterday. Yesterday sucked. Today's going to be very comfortable traveling. We won't see anything. At least beyond about 150 meters or so. But, yeah, we got a fresh, a little bit of dust on crust, which should be nice. Just to slow us down some of those 40-degree ice slopes, ice faces. So we go head down this little glacier tongue to the base of the Norrington, and then from there we're going to head up the Norrington almost to the top, and that's when the route finding gets a bit interesting. It's hard to tell from the map exactly how it's going to work out. We figure we kind of head up on this funny little ridge and go along the ridge until the slope angle mellows out, and we're going to head down into the onto another glacier, which I don't think has a name.